In 2024, we saw another edition of the Nations League. We saw a ton of managerial changes inside Concacaf. No more Greg Berhalter. In comes Pochettino. Here comes Jesse Marsch. Oh my God, Aguirre's back again. And we also had another edition of the Copa America, this time hosted in the United States. So a lot went down. What did we learn? That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. I guess it should be what did I learn, because these are my opinions. If there's anything I say that you disagree with as a takeaway, let me know in the comments. If there's a takeaway that I missed, let me know down below. If you think I should go back to the fade that I used to have for a long time, let me know down below in the comments. Before I get into this video, if you guys like videos about CONCACAF, if you're Canadian, American, Mexican, all three, or you just like footy in the region, make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. CONCACAF is one of the main content pieces here on the channel. I don't want you to miss anything, including a massive roll-up to the next edition, the 2025 Nations League. Don't miss that. Also, check us out on social media, links in the description. Lesson number one. This is the most talented version of CONCACAF we have ever seen. I do not think that is a controversial statement, and I do not think it is controversial to go one step further, because you guys know I like to have the spicier takes. I don't even think it's close. In fact, in 2024, I believe we saw the strongest ever iteration of 4 different national teams: the United States, Canada, Jamaica, and Panama. Now, massive asterisk right now. Most talented doesn't mean best. As you guys know, if you are footy fans or really fans of any sport in general, the talent on paper does not always equate to success. There are upsets in football. There are golden generations that go 10 years without winning a single thing, and then they are branded as failures. I don't believe the story is done being written about these 4 national teams and really any of the teams in CONCACAF. I think we have a lot of younger generations coming up, but in terms of the talent, it is top right now. If you guys think there was another time when CONCACAF was stronger as a whole than now, let me know in the comments. To challenge myself on my own video, I think the only other possibility is maybe 2014. Costa Rica was pretty beast mode. US was pretty strong back then. Very, very good Mexico team. But back then, Canada was ass cheeks. Jamaica were terrible. Panama, I don't even know what they were doing. I guess Honduras was stronger than Honduras now, but I still feel like on aggregate, it wasn't as good. Again, if we are talking talent, it was not as talented. That's what I should have said. I already touched on that, but talent does not equate to performance. And if anything, you could also point to this being one of the most underperforming times for CONCACAF as a region, despite the talent. Now, this amount of talent, in theory, means that we could potentially be looking at the best ever performance as a collective that CONCACAF has ever experienced at a World Cup, a home World Cup. Again, this is all potential. Potential is often not realized, but I think that there's a case for CONCACAF fans to feel bullish about how much respect we're going to put on ourselves the next time the greatest competition on earth takes place. I'm not predicting historically good performance from all CONCACAF teams. I'm just saying we should see something at least close to that. I swear to God, if we see 5 group stage exits, I'm going to be pissed. Lesson number 2. Canada needs a trophy more than any team in CONCACAF. It's been 24 years, y'all, since these guys won something. I don't even think I was in kindergarten yet. Now, as I said in part 1, I believe this is the strongest Canadian national team of all time. And they are the one true challenger in the region to the hegemony of the United States. If you guys saw our America's combined power ranking video, Connor and I both decided that we couldn't really rank Canada or the US above each other. I think both have sound arguments. This is honestly like when the Roman Empire split in 2. I can't even anoint there being a king of CONCACAF right now, because I honestly think there are 2 kings. There's a rebellion in the north led by the Starks, to have a Game of Thrones reference, and the United States, I guess, are the Lannisters in this case. Somebody's going to come out on top in season 8. I don't know who it's going to be, but it should be the Canadian national team. And the reason I say that they need the trophy more than anybody else is because of the following. If the United States wins the Nations League and the Gold Cup, I don't really think there's going to be much of a reaction to that, at least in the fan base or internationally. If Mexico wins the trophies this year, can we really say it's the most unexpected thing that we've ever seen? I mean, they have the most trophies in CONCACAF. So let's not act like this is some David and Goliath story completely. If Panama win or Costa Rica win, then I think it's an amazing story. I will be hyped because I love seeing teams like that perform well, but I don't know if you can say they need the trophy to validate their current teams, especially not Costa Rica. They're basically kids out there. Now, we could have a a separate video, and maybe I will one day make a separate video about Panama and does this generation under Christensen need a trophy, but I don't think they need it, again, this is subjective, as much as Canada does. And due to the power of the other national teams in CONCACAF, I don't think Canada's ever going to have a better shot. Strike while the iron is hot. And also a little bit of a personal reason for me here. I always see a lot of Canadians say that they cannot fathom how anybody could say that the United States is on the same level or better than Canada. And to me, the argument is quite simple. Beat the United States in a competitive game. Win a trophy in the United States backyard. While we're at it, beat Mexico in a competitive game. I know that you won against both the United States and Mexico in Canada, but that was before the 2022 World Cup, homie. What have you done for me lately? Any team can beat any team once. Do it again. Yes, I know Canada won in a friendly. Okay, I said competitive matches, because I know somebody's going to completely miss that in the comments. And to sympathize with the Canadians watching, I understand that it's not totally fair, because the United States gets to host every goddamn tournament, and every time that Canada wants to win something, or Mexico, or Panama, Costa Rica, Jamaica, Honduras, you gotta do it in St. Louis, or you have to do it in Minnesota, or in Ohio. I get it. It's not fair. I don't know what you want me to say about it. It is what it is. You either win or you just eternally cry online. Honestly, I'm rooting for Canada to win a trophy. I'm tired of the U.S. winning every Nations League, but no more excuses. Now is the time. And this Canadian team is easily good enough to get the job done. If Qatar can beat Iran, Uzbekistan, and Jordan en route to an Asian Cup, Canada can get one good win against the United States in the final. That's how I see it. I had to throw an Asian footy reference in there. I'm so sorry. Takeaway number 3, new year, same Jamaica. 2024 was a year that Jamaica continued to stockpile more firepower that we've seen in the Caribbean since Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders. And despite taking every single dual nat that would commit, their marquee win was beating Panama 1-0 in the bronze match of the Nations League. Outside of that, Jamaica also did beat Honduras away in a Nations League group stage game, which is an achievement, but this was yet another year of non-stop headlines. Oh, here comes Mason Greenwood. Oh, here comes Mason Holgate. Everybody named Mason is committing to the Reggae Boys. But it doesn't seem to matter, because I'm still looking at the results, I'm still looking at the play style, I'm looking at the Copa America, and it's just not up to snuff. I'm so sorry, y'all. I just cannot continue any further covering this national team. Jamaica should be firmly a top 4 team in CONCACAF, arguably a top 3 team in CONCACAF. And when I say firmly, I mean everybody and their grandma could be polled together and they'd say, yeah, the Reggae Boys, that's a good team. But instead, despite all these guys in the championship and a couple ballers in the Prem and a couple ballers in good leagues throughout Europe and in Asia, it doesn't amount to anything. And I can only point that to corruption, selfishness, probably bad vibes. Like the fact that I'm sitting here now and I can confidently say that Panama and Costa Rica are better teams than Jamaica is embarrassing. They continue to be one of the most underperforming teams in international football, and the only reason they're not number 1 is because Ghana exists, and maybe Saudi Arabia too. So for me, 2024 was just another failure in a growing list that is starting to look like a Harry Potter series. We've got enough material here to compile a book as thick as a Bible. My next lesson is this. Thomas Christensen is the best coach in CONCACAF. I am actually 100% prepared to say that. And I will debate any of you down below in the comments, because y'all are a bunch of haters. Is he better than Jesse Marsch is as a manager? Yes, I think he is. Now, those of you with a high enough IQ will realize that by saying somebody's the best, it does not at the same time mean that everybody else is ass cheeks. I think CONCACAF right now probably has the best managers they've ever had, and that matches the talent of the federation currently. But I still think if you're looking at the top of the coaching pyramid in CONCACAF, it is Thomas Christensen. Is he better than Jesse Marsch? Yes, I believe he is. As much as I love Jesse, he's done a damn good job with Canada. I have him number 2 right now. Does that make you feel any better? Is Christensen better than Pochettino? If we're going band for band in club football, the answer is of course no. But if we're talking international, which these are CONCACAF takeaways, yes, he is better than Pochettino. Pochettino's had, 4 games in charge? He's lost 2? Drawn New Zealand? I know these are friendlies. I know there were absentees from the roster. But what is the argument that Pochettino's a better international manager than Christensen? There is none. Is Thomas Christensen better than Javier Aguirre? Well, you could say that Aguirre's golden moments came like 14 years ago with Mexico. That was a long time ago. I'm sorry, but I don't think we've seen enough from Aguirre since he returned to Mexico to suggest that he's better. And who are the other challengers? Steve McLaren from Jamaica? Are you kidding me? Piojo with Costa Rica? He just got there. We haven't seen any games, so we can't say for now. No other manager in the region could get the results that Christensen has achieved with the pieces that he has. If you want to compare the talent of national teams to firepower like I did recently, then teams like Canada, Jamaica, the United States, they might have nuclear weapons. I mean, genuinely, I think Anthony Robinson probably is a nuclear weapon at this point. Same with Jonathan David, same with Christian Pulisic. Panama don't have any nukes. They don't have any of the latest stealth fighters. And yet still, they get things done. Still, they overachieve as a national team. I've said it before, and I'll say it one final time. If Panama had a proper striker, if you saw a 9 on this team, the likes of Raul Jimenez, Jonathan David, Santi Jimenez, Balogun, even a goddamn Mikel Antonio, then I fear for the rest of CONCACAF, and I fear what poison, what type of lethality Thomas Christensen could conjure up. We would have to start calling him Professor Snape because he would be... In my last lesson here, and I'll keep this one a little short, I don't think we know who the best player in CONCACAF is right now. And I think that's a good thing. If you would have polled everybody in CONCACAF over the last couple years, I feel like Alphonso Davies would have been the winner. And I think some years that might have been even unanimous. But last year in 2024, and this year even in 2025, I don't think there's any unanimous MVP. We're not having a LeBron James, Steph Curry situation here anymore. And to briefly explain why I think Alphonso Davies is no longer the unanimous best player in CONCACAF, I think you can attribute that to injuries, which have taken him out at Bayern more than once. And I think Jesse Marsch, deploying him mainly as a left back, has kind of minimized his offensive impact for Canada. They've lowered his stats and a lot of your stat merchants. And so I just think that combination has opened the door once again for there to be another best player. And I think right now we have a ton of nominees, actually. Probably more than we've ever had. I've been saying that a lot in this video. I feel like I'm being way too hyperbolic. I apologize, but this is how I feel. And this is my video, so I'm going to say what I want. So the nominees that I have in front of me, you could say that it still is Alphonso Davies. Jonathan David, of course, I think needs to be mentioned. I think he's probably the best 9 now in the region. I don't really know what happened to the shouts for Santi, Raul, Balogun. I think there are still minority camps that are waving those flags, but I think Jonathan David's probably number 1. Christian Pulisic, how could he not be nominated now for the best player in CONCACAF after what he continues to do for the U.S.? I mean, only Landon Donovan can replicate the output that Christian Pulisic has had, and how good he has been for AC Milan, even in a struggling season. I guess last season they weren't struggling that much, but this season in particular, it has not been great. And then, of course, you have to mention Anthony Robinson, who has made an incredible claim to be the best left back in the Premier League. And if you are the best at your position in what almost the entire world regards as the best league, or at least the most competitive league, how can you not be on the short list for CONCACAF best player? Honestly, I think the glow up of Jedi needs to be studied, because 3 years ago, there was no debate whatsoever who was better, him or Alphonso Davies. But the way Jedi has expanded his offensive repertoire for Fulham, for the love of God, is incredible. So yes, I think he's clearly a top 4 shout for CONCACAF best player. I'm a defense guy first. I'm totally comfortable saying that Jedi probably is the best player right now. On top of that, there will be some who nominate Raul Jimenez for what he's doing as a striker in the Premier League for Fulham. You have guys who will say Santi Jimenez because he continues to break records at Feyenoord. He continues to break records for Mexicans abroad in Europe. I think he at least deserves to have his hat tossed in the ring. Not saying he's my pick, but you got to mention him. You even have guys like Coco Carrasquilla, who now just made a move to Liga MX, finally leaving the Dynamo, who won CONCACAF Player of the Year last season playing for Panama and in the mother effing MLS. Now, that's probably the most hipster person that I could throw on this list, but still, I think he deserves to be mentioned. I think he's been that good. And lastly, do you say somebody like Moisés Bombito, who I think is the best center back in CONCACAF? Why not? Even just going through these players one by one, I feel the excitement building up for CONCACAF. I'm so tired of the federation feeling like a 1-horse race or a 2-horse race or a no-horse race. You know what I'm saying? So I think the future is so bright. Now, I'm not sure if this is just a series of amazing generations for these teams or if we're going to continue to see CONCACAF on the ascension. I'm going to choose to believe the latter. And I think the fact that we can now now have entire in-depth discussions and debates about who is the best striker, who is the best coach, who's got the best defense, who's got the best 11. I think those are all good things. And here on Deadball TV, we are going to continue having discussions about those very same topics. So if you do not want to miss videos like that, again, make sure you hit subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, drop it a like and let me know down below in the comments, did I say something that you disagree with? Is there a lesson you learned that I did not mention? I would love to hear from you guys. Also follow me on social media. The link is in the description, @TheJackson on Twitter. You can talk to me on there. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.